Hello and welcome back to another update where I cover the latest developments throughout the front line in the Russo-Ukrainian war. It is your host Weeb Union, and in this one we have several developments in favor of the Russian armed forces. We start out in direction of Urozhaine, where according to this geolocated footage, the Russians are advancing within the central parts of the town. The Russians are engaging in street fighting with the Ukrainian forces in the town, fighting from building to building, moving upwards through it. We see that the Russians have control over the fortified positions north of Staromayorsk, as well as the entirety of the town, allowing them to concentrate their forces here in the east and have suppressive fire from the west, which allows the Russians to slowly move through the town with little resistance. This allows them to gradually take control over the town. In the direction of the Avdiivka section of the front line, the Russians have managed to enter the northern parts of Novoselivka Persha, capturing the school of the town and the outside areas here to the northeast. So with this, the Russians, following the capture of the fortified positions, are now in a position where they have gained a foothold in the northern part of Novoselivka Persha, and this allows the Russians to expand the zone of control within the town. Due to the foothold they've gained in the north, it will be easier for the Russians to move in and gain a foothold in the east as well. This is due to the fact that with a foothold in the north, the Ukrainians will be forced to counterattack to push the Russians out of the town or to redirect their forces to hold the lines. And both of these requires additional troops that either come from the river line, where the road is under Russian fire control to the north, or from the east, where they will redirect their forces defending the eastern parts to the northern parts. This is in the case that the Russian push is powerful and they need to have additional help just to stabilize the front. If the Ukrainians are launching a counterattack, then it is likely from the river line that additional reinforcements are arriving. This is due to the fact that if they want to counterattack, then that is because they believe that they're able to still hold on to the town and prevents the Russians from gaining a foothold on the eastern parts, creating a wall there. If that is the case, then they would look to counterattack and regain their positions in the north and push out the Russian forces. However, if they are simply attempting to hold on to their positions, it is more likely that they will withdraw from the eastern parts, because there the objective would simply be to buy time, either to withdraw their troops from the east or to send additional reinforcements from the river line towards the north, where they will then be forced to withdraw. If the Ukrainian defenders are not able to hold the front line, then a withdrawal is the only option, or simply buying time. That is why they would be withdrawing from the eastern parts to hold the northern parts for additional reinforcements to take place, and then they will attempt to counterattack. So in either case, if they are planning a counterattack, then they will not withdraw from the east. If they're not planning a counterattack, then they are likely going to be withdrawing from the east, so prevent an encirclement. Further north here in the Vovcha direction of the front line, the Russians have expanded their zone of control in the southern part of the Vovcha river line, where they've captured parts of another strait here in the southern parts. So the Russians are continuing and expanding their zone of control in the south of the Vovcha river line, which shows that it is a powerful foothold. They have sent many troops across that allows them to hold on to these positions. At the very least, it would number a company-sized unit, so 100 soldiers, for such a wide area to be captured by the Russians, and it shows that the Ukrainian presence in the north is under threat due to this positional fighting in the south, whether it is to redirect the Ukrainian forces from the north across the river line to defend, or if it is for the Russians to cut off the supplies of the Ukrainians by cutting off this intersection in the central parts, limiting the supply going eastwards towards the northern part of the Vovcha river line, which will lead the way for further Russian pushes in the northern parts to gain or regain full control over the north of the Vovcha river line. So we see heavy fighting in Vovchansk in the northern and southern parts of the town as Russians heavily bombard the Ukrainian positions. The Ukrainians have so far throughout this year had a very difficult time dealing with the Russian FAB bombs. In regards to that, they have been asking for a lot more Patriot systems. And in regards to that, there is this article by Reuters about a new $225 million US military aid package. $225 million is not really a lot, because that alone would be covered by artillery shells and missiles and so on, as they cost a lot. For an example, the average shell for 155mm caliber in 2024 for Western countries would cost around $5,000, and that is due to the exponential growth in the price due to the inflation that the war has caused, especially in parts such as artillery shells that the West is in dire need of. That means simply sending 50,000 155mm shells, which the Ukrainians would use up in about a month, would cost $250 million, which is more than this aid package. Yet, apparently, according to Reuters, this $225 million package includes not only ammunition for the 155mm artillery units, but also Patriot missile battery, an entire battery, additional ammunition for high-mobility artillery rocket systems, the HIMARS, and missiles, among other items. So it is likely that the Ukrainians are receiving ATACMS, HIMARS missiles, artillery shells, Patriot missile battery, and all of that. This is worth way more than $225 million. Even forgetting about the Patriot missiles, which each of them costs about $4 million. Another Reuters article talks about the cost of a single Patriot battery. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies think tank, a single Patriot battery costs over $1 billion, with $400 million for the system and $690 million for the missiles in the battery. This is over $1 billion for a single battery. Yet the aid package is only $225 million. This means one of two things. Either the Patriot battery is not included in this aid package, which raises the question as to why are they then saying it does, if there's only $225 million worth, or the United States is simply lying about the worth of the aid package that they're sending to Ukraine. And this then raises another question. How long have they been lying? How much are they lying? Because if we say it's $1 billion for the Patriot missile battery and they send 100,000 shells, that's $500 million, and then the additional missiles and other stuff, that would all include over $2 billion, which is a 10 times markup. That is 1,000% more than what they are saying. The US has sent over $50 billion, as is said here in this, just below this. If that's a general thing that has happened throughout the war with the 1,000% markup, then that would be $5 trillion, which is obviously not the case. But this raises the question, how much money has Ukraine received from the West? And despite all of that aid, how is Ukraine not winning? The West is saying that Ukraine can win, yet with additional aid and more than they're even officially saying, they're unable to do so. Not only are they unable to do so, but they're being pushed back as the Russians are gaining an advantage over the Ukrainians. And this is despite the fact that with the US aid being sent to Ukraine, the Russians are only matching the same economy as is being officially announced. That means that the Russians are spending as much money as the West is sending to Ukraine officially. I personally believe that it is a very big issue that we do not know how much money is being sent to Ukraine, considering we live in democracies where we're supposed to pick people to represent the population, yet the population is not receiving the necessary information for such elections to be fair. Despite press freedom, no one is asking, this math isn't mathing, what is happening? Like, why is Reuters not asking how is a Patriot missile system included if it's only $225 million aid package? But who am I to say? I'm just a guy on the internet. And that is going to be all for this update. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and check out my Patreon for additional content. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.